Strangford Lough is unique. Nowhere is there such variety of marine habitats supporting so much wildlife. The birds, seals, the shore life are internationally important, but that's not all. Powerful tidal currents from the Irish Sea have created a series of rich underwater habitats with an enormous range of different species. With over 2,000 species in all, the Lough has some of the richest and most varied marine life in Western Europe. Everyone has a responsibility for its welfare. Because of this, the National Trust was worried that some fisheries within the Lough may be harming a very special part of the sea bottom. We went to investigate. Of all the different communities in the Lough, that created by the horse mussel is one of the richest, most important. Along with its close neighbour, the queen scallop, they're the ones you see swimming here, the horse mussel community is unlike anything anywhere else. It's so cluttered with other animals that it's almost impossible to see the mussels themselves lying at the heart of the community. But they're there, growing in a dense, tangled mat or in clumps across the bottom. Individual mussels may live for 30 years or more, providing a solid habitat for other species which could not survive on the mud without something to grow on. Some, like this sea cucumber, live protected between the clumps in burrows. Others, like the variable scallop or the brittle stars, live tangled securely amongst the mussels. This bright yellow sponge lives by growing encrusted on the mussel shells. Different types of squat lobsters and crabs forage over the bottom. Sea urchins, now protected by recent legislation, are everywhere. And so are the predators, like this scorpion fish, waiting to grab small shrimps. And starfish, like this sunstar, abound. Out of the hundreds of different sorts of animals, one, just one, has become the subject of recent intensive fishing. The queenie, a small type of scallop, not often eaten in Northern Ireland, but popular on the continent. They're a very mobile shellfish, but they do depend on hydroids and other animals to settle on and develop from larvae into adults. The hydroids, relatives of the sea anemone, depend on the horse mussels. So without the mussel community, queenies would be rare indeed. In the past, fishing was done by small boats operating out of local villages. They did little damage to the bottom of the lough and shellfish were plentiful. But later, overfishing badly depleted most of the stocks and only the queenies remained. Now, more powerful boats come in from outside, relying on intensive fishing methods to remove as many of the queenies as possible. In theory, Only the queenies get caught. But the reality is very different. Vast quantities of other animals are uprooted and dragged up, including great sections of the horse mussel community. It's a bit like harvesting apples from an orchard using a mechanical digger. The queenies are sorted and bagged and made ready for market. All the other unwanted animals and debris are left lying around, dead or dying, and finally dumped overboard. A visit to the bottom of a trawled area reveals the effects. The entire mussel bed is stripped. Occasional clumps and patches missed by the trawler show us what it was like. In most areas, the fragments of the community are dead. We do find some queenies though, because they can swim in from other areas, giving fishermen the impression that all is well. They even say they're glad when they've cleaned up the bottom. But the truth is that the habitat, so essential to the young queenies and all other animals, is being lost rapidly. Sea squirts, those familiar settlers on the moorings and jetties, may grow on dead shells, but there's little sign of any recovery of the horse mussels. They will certainly take a long time to recover, but that will never happen while trawling continues. Ultimately, the Lough will become a marine nature reserve, but uncontrolled trawling could destroy part of it forever, long before it can be protected. Do you think it's right to destroy the unique natural community to extract just one commercial species? Do you think that this community of animals, known nowhere else, should be destroyed for commercial gain? Is it even right that the future of local fisheries of any sort should be jeopardized by those outside interests? And remember what happens. Just look again at the devastation caused by intensive trawling. It's devoid of anything of value. It doesn't even make good fishing practice. On the other hand, there are plenty of ways to harvest food from the Lough that are compatible with its wildlife. Commerce and conservation must work together to ensure that something worthwhile is left for future generations. The decision is ours.